Gage. I am a third grade ELAR social studies teacher at McClendon Elementary School. Thank you for joining me today. I am going to talk to you today about a program called Formative. Formative is a program that's going to allow you to be able to informally or even formally assess your students. And it is something that you can quickly put together with as many or as few questions as you would like, and that you can project back on screens to show students in live time how they are doing. And it's things that can lead to discussions in class and kind of make kids take a little bit more responsibility for their own learning. So this kind of goes along with ISTE Standard 1 for students, empowering the learner so that they can use their technologies and play an active role in their own learning goals. So I'm going to switch over and I'm going to show you, first of all, how to get into Formative and where to find it. So I'm going to move over here to Clever. I've used Clever. If you have not gone in and used Clever very often, I would suggest that you do. It's an awesome program. And it's all of your students are in it, and it's an easy way to get programs added for you to use. So Formative is something you're going to need to add to your Clever account. To do this, you're going to hit the add button down here in the bottom once you get into Clever. Okay, you can add an app. And then as you go in to add the app, they're going to give you a list of things like the most popular in our district. You can browse by subject, anything that would be considered new that they've added, by grade level, and then the most popular, and then they'll give you all the resources. If you'll look in that very first row, Formative is one of the first ones. So when you click on Formative, when you first do it, it will go in and it will ask you to add it to your page. Mine is already there. So you'll see off to the side, it says I currently have it installed on 2 pages. So I've already got it on mine. So if I go back into my homeroom, you will see that you have a personal page in Clever. So I added it to my personal page for Formative. And I added a few other links as well. Quizzes is something that is part of Clever, and I added that to it. But some of the other links like Epic and Spelling City that I regularly have my students get into, if you click the add button over here on this page, you'll see that you can add a link. So if there's any program that you regularly get your students into and it takes them a long time to get in, if you will put a link on here when they press the button over here, then it will automatically take them to the login site for that page and they can get into it easily. So I'm going to take you into Formative right now. Now, once you get logged in and you get into Formative and it asks you to go and log yourself in, when you're in Clever, it's going to use Clever to log you in. So when you first open it, you'll see that it opens automatically to the Formatives page. And this would be for any Formatives that you've already created or that you've put into your library. You have a section for classes where you have your students. And you'll notice up here that you can import students from Google Classroom, or you can sync your Clever classes. And so as soon as you touch the button to sync your Clever classes, it's going to take all of your students and all of your classes, and it's going to load them into Clever. And so if you have got multiple classes with multiple students, then it's going to allow you to go in and sync all of the classes at once. Okay, it will let you look to make sure that all of your students are there. So you can see them all listed off to the side. And of course, you can sort by, from A to Z. You can sort Z to A, different codes, abbreviations, and so on. So when we get back into Formatives, to create a Formative, you'll notice across here, this one is a guest. So if you wanted to not upload classes, your students could still get in and actually do a Formative. You would just have to give them a code for whatever you created. And so once you create one, if you don't have classes loaded, you can pull it up and it pulls up a code that you can put out for all of your students to put in quickly. And then once they get it put in, then they can immediately go in and they can do that Formative for you. But these are my 2 classes. These are assignments that I've already assigned to them. That's why there are numbers out beside them. And the number out here shows me the number of students that have already submitted. And so as I look, I can select my classes. I can adjust settings. Some of these you'll see stars beside. Those are premium options. I just have the free options. There's more than enough for me to use for free. And so if you were to choose at some point in time that you wanted to use a paid option, you can. They do give you like a 30-day free trial. So if you wanted to try the free trial and give that a try and see if you liked it. But you can decide how to return scores to students, whether or not you return correct answers, whether you show, you can say don't show the answers after the student submits or when you close it. So right now I have a few students who've been absent, so I still have this open, but I could hit closed. And that means no more students could get into that formative and they couldn't make any updates or take that formative themselves. And so you can also go in and hit view responses. And that will allow me to see the responses that all of my students gave when they answered it. Anything red, of course, was an incorrect answer. Green is a correct answer. And then I can see percentages for grades that I put in. And I can just go in and see individual questions. You'll notice it puts students up here and it puts what answer they chose for each one. So we can look. And so this is one where you could, again, put this on the screen to show to all your students in the class after they've completed it. And you can just hit hide names over here. And all it does is show answers. And then that way you can have a discussion with the class as to why certain answers were picked and why they considered, some of them were considered to be correct and some of them incorrect. And so that's when you can have that conversation with your students. And then of course you can also export scores if you needed to into a spreadsheet. You only get a few exports free a month. So again, that's one of those things that if you wanted to do that, you only get a few. And so if you really like doing that, you want to do it a lot, you might want to look at a paid subscription. All right, so that is one that my students had already done. When you get ready to make a formative, you can come over here and hit new formative. It will give you a blank screen. It starts out in edit and a big plus sign. So when you tap the plus sign, you're going to get this screen here. Anything that is grayed out with a star beside it is a premium feature, so you won't be able to use that unless you're trying the premium. Anything that is bright is something that you are able to add to your formative. You'll see that there are quite a few options. You can put a whiteboard in. You can add a video. You can add text blocks, an image. You can embed things, put in an essay, multiple choice, multiple selection, short answer, show your work, or true or false. You can also put some of your own documents, either from a Google Doc or a PDF, and you can upload it to create your formative. Now, one of the things you can do is you can embed different things. So for instance, if you wanted to have something that was read aloud to the students, you could actually go to the program Vocaroo and you could record what you wanted the students to hear, and you could use the embed code and embed here. You can also embed YouTube videos. So for instance, we're doing prefixes in my class. So if I go in here to this program, I can hit share, embed. It will give me an embed code. So I come here and I copy. And then when I come back to formative, then I can paste that into that box. And then there's my video. And then students would be able to watch this video directly from formative. And then you can go in and add any types of questions that you might want to. If you had multiple choice, then it's going to give you options. You type in your question, you type in your options. And then of course, also you can tag a standard. So for instance, for here, when you tag a standard, mine have already got them populated. To populate your standards, come up to the corner where your name is, settings, and then you can choose your standard set by clicking the plus sign, find Texas, and then your subject area. Now, what I noticed the other day when I added mine is that unfortunately, they do not have my new ELA standards in. They have the latest 2017 standards for 6th through 8th grade, but they have, if you are teaching K through 5 ELA, they do not have our new standards up for the lower grades. So you would have to be able to choose yours from here. Okay, and you simply choose your grade level. You confirm and exit. And then when you go back to your formatives, and the one that you're creating, then you can go in and add any of the standards. So I would suggest for the lower grades, use a side-by-side of our TEKs so that you can kind of look and see which new TEK and which old TEK correspond, so that you can go in and you can tag standards. And so you just add the standard in there, and then that way when you're looking for data, you can also go in and use your data by looking at the standards. If you were to decide to, I don't want that to be multiple choice, you can always go here, change it to multiple selection, change question type, and then it will change the type of question. Now, anything that you've already typed in there, usually it will erase that information. So, if you're going to change, okay, you'll probably want to go through and make sure that you do that before you type other information in. You can do a show your work, in which kids would have to go in and draw. So they can say edit background, and then they can use the drawing tools, a text box, and so on in order to write on there. So that's an option for them as well. And of course, then you can also do true or false options for students to answer questions. Once you've made all these, you can also go up here, and most of them, they all default to 1 point. If you're going to have 5 questions, you can go in and type 20. Each of them are 20 points each. That way you get a grade at the end of it. Also, if there's a plus sign, it will give you things you can add. So on a question, you can add an image. On answer choices, you can't. So if I were doing multiple choice, I can, in many cases, type something in. But if I come over here to do this, the only option I have is something with math, LaTeX math. I can't add all the other functions are premium functions. But I can add an image to my question if you need an image with the question for students to help with. So I'm going to go show you a couple of them that I have also made. So I have a couple on here. Trixie Turkey was one that my students did the other day. So this is one that I uploaded the story. This came from one of my one of the things in my Google Docs. And I went in, I added the story. It already has questions. And so I was able to go and click and add numbers and add questions off to the side. So I'm going to show you how to do that. So when you start a new formative, you hit the plus sign, enhance PDF document. I'm going to go to Google Drive. And of course, it will always ask permission to be able to get on and to continue with your drive. And so it will give you several things that you can choose from, PDFs that come out of your Google Drive, documents, drawings, photos, presentations, images, things like that. If you're searching, you'll probably have to go in and type in exactly what you're looking for. I'm looking for no more litter bugs. So I'm going to select that, and I'm going to upload it, and they will process your file. So once they have uploaded it, they will upload everything that is part of that document. So if it has multiple pages, they will upload multiple pages. Now, this comes with an answer key on it. Obviously, I don't want my students to have that. So if you'll see the little trash can on the side, I can click that trash can, and it will only delete that page. And so I can go back up. Here is my story. If I wanted to add questions here, I could click on the image over here and say, add something here. And I could decide to do a text block. I could do a multiple choice question here, short answer, and so on. Or I can click out of that. My questions for that story are here. I can simply come here, click on it, make it multiple choice. And then off to the side, I have A, B, C, or D. All I have to do over here is I tap question 1. And then I choose which one is the correct answer so that it will grade it for me. And then again, I can tag a standard. So whatever that standard is, I can come down and tag it. And then I can do that for each one. Each time I hit one of these, it's going to give me that same option. It will add another multiple choice question. I choose the correct answer. I can tag a standard. And then I just continue it until I'm done. And of course, all the ones that are multiple choice, I'll make a multiple choice question. The one at the bottom is going to be a short answer. So I would go through on this one and I would make this one short answer. And then my students would just simply go in and they would just type their answer here. Now you can put a key in. What I found is it's a little difficult because my kids don't always type the exact same answer as I do. And the premium feature is to allow a partial match. And since I don't have the premium feature, instead of putting a correct answer in there, I'm just going to make it where if I don't put anything, then I would go in and grade it manually later after they've all completed it. And so that would be just something that once all the students are finished, I would go in, I would pull it up, I would go to that question, read their answers, and then I would score that question. So this is ready to assign. So once I have it ready to assign, I would just hit the button that says assign up here. I can assign it to both classes, or again, if I don't have classes put in there, I can say guest students. So if you do choose guest students and you say assign, what it's going to do is pop up with a box that you'll see here that tells the students to go Formative, join, and then they have to enter this code. Once they've entered the code, then you can minimize that, and then the students can go in and they can actually do that Formative. If not, you can also go in there and post it somewhere else. You can post to Google Classroom, or you can get a link, or you can embed it. And so there's lots of options that you can do with this. So if you're going to assign it, you can assign it to your classes. You can assign it to just guests. Okay. And you can also share this with other classes if you wanted to. So anything that you find on here, again, when you have answers that you already have, you can pull up your classes. You can look to see how they did. View responses. And then you can pull up any classes to see who's answered it and who hasn't. And then, of course, on some of these, some have answered. I have one that's blank because they have not done this yet. Two that are blank, they've not done this yet. And so I would not want to close this until after they've had an opportunity. So again, with your premium features, there's lots of things, and they'll show you up here. They give you options to be able to go and get an individual license. This shows you all the premium features and what those are. Again, you can go in and you can start a 30-day trial, give it a try, see if you like it. As far as the cost, you can choose an annual savings. You can do monthly, save 10%. I don't know that it's terribly expensive, but $135 for the first year. So for me, it's enough just to use all the free features. Now, also, as you're going through and you're doing, you have a tracker here. The tracker is an easy way to get to all your assignments. It's kind of like a grade book. So it'll show you all the scores that everyone has gotten so far and and how they've averaged out. You can look at all the different activities that they've done. You can click on an individual student score. It will show it off to the side and what their answers were. This one is showing both classes, so you can do all students, or you can pick by class. You can sort them by alphabetical order. You can go in and show dates the last 2 weeks, put a custom range, do for the whole last year, whatever you would like. And then you can also go by types. So you can go by if you considered it a benchmark, an assignment, classwork. Okay. So you can kind of use those. And again, you can export, but with a free version, you only have so many. And the best part is the library. There are a lot of teachers out there who have made these available for everyone. And so you can make a formative and then you can choose to put it out there in the library. So all you have to do on here is you can search titles and authors. You can use filters. So you can pretty much do the public ones. You can choose by grade level, by subject. And if you've already chosen your standards, you can then go and choose by standard on whatever you're looking for. So as you go through, you can kind of scroll down and see, or if you're something in particular looking for. So if I were to look for prefixes and I tap in there, there's none in there. So I can go in and look for, and so this one has something for literacy on here. I can click on that. It'll show me to the side some of the things they have. This is some things that people put out there that are options. So they have something on abstract nouns. They have something on pronouns, conjunctions, root words, and affixes. So like if I wanted to look at that, I could see what they're supposed to do, what it would look like, and how it would look to the students, okay, and what they're supposed to do. And if I chose to use it, I can hit the plus sign, and that's going to add it to my formatives. And so when I go back to my formatives, I'm going to see that has been added to my list. And so now I can go in and assign this to my students whenever I need to. But I can also pull it up and I can edit if I need to. So if there's something on here that I don't need, I can go in and take it out, or I can add new things in. Now, one other thing that you can do is when you've got something like this and you've made your formative, this little eyeball right here, if you hit the eyeball, it will preview it to it exactly the way the student will see it. So here you will have a view of on their phones. This is how it would look on a tablet. If you click on this is how it looks on their Chromebooks. And so this is how it would look to the student, and this is how they would see it to be able to answer the questions. And then you can actually go in and answer the questions yourself, do a little bit of a trial. And once you do that, then you would be able to preview your answers and see how you did. And you would be able to look and see at what the results would look like. So all of those are options that you can do with this program. So if you'll see, it's pretty versatile. There are lots of things that you can do with it. I've had students. I've made cards that I've been able to add on here, and then just add questions to the side, and they went over and answered the questions as they went through. I've got a standard added to each. This is just on literal and inferential questions. So I went in and added all of these things to it. And so they were able to go in and answer these for me. And I was able to get a good idea as to whether or not they understand inferential questions and how to infer on something. And so this was just one thing that they were able to do in about 5 or 10 minutes. So it's very versatile and very useful to be able to do these things. And my students have pretty much enjoyed going in and being able to work on them, and it doesn't take very long. So I'm going to open this up. If anyone has any questions that I haven't answered for you yet, there's so many things here that it's kind of hard to know what exactly to make sure that you get all the information that you need. So if you've got any questions for me, I'm going to open that up for questions right now. But if this is a pretty good program, and I kind of hope that you really would get in and enjoy using it, because I've gotten pretty excited about being able to go in and make things myself for my students. Also, if we've got, let's see. One of the things it will let you do is create folders. So if you have multiple classes, so if I wanted to make a social studies folder, I could, and add the folder. And once the folder is there, I can open the folder and I can create a new formative inside that folder. And so I can make a social studies formative and add it in there. And then that way, and I can grab things from an item bank, search from existing questions, look for social studies, maybe something on maps. And then I can look for an appropriate grade level that matches my students. Use my filter for 3rd grade. And so we can look at this map here, and I can decide to add it. And so now I can go back and look, and this has been added in here as a formative. And so now I can assign it to my students and do anything that I need with that. So again, this is it's a pretty versatile program. Very useful to kind of show your students what they're doing and allow you to easily assess them quickly and easily on their Chromebooks. And what better if you don't necessarily have to do the grading yourself? Okay. Okay. So I appreciate everybody joining me. And again, this is a very useful program, and you can always, I'm at McClendon, and you can always send me an email if you have any questions about it. But thank you for listening.